We are back. I am so excited for today because it is the last and final event strategy podcast episode. And before we dive in, I want to hit through three different things that we're going to talk about today, and then we're going to jump into all the good stuff. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the big announcement, collaboration, like I mentioned, with Amy Zalinchuk. So I'm going to drop a little hint of it here and actually just announce it to you all, but you'll have to learn more information another way, which I'll get to. The second thing is my event profit planner has officially launched. I am so excited, and it's going to tie in perfectly to what we're going to be talking about today. And that leads me to the last thing that we're going to touch on, which is what is your pricing? What are you charging your attendees? Because this is the question that ultimately everything else, all four other questions we've answered, is leading to this one. So I cannot wait, like absolutely cannot wait to dive into this. So the first thing I want to talk about, though, is going to be the big announcement, the collaboration I'm doing with Amy Zalinchuk. She is a dear friend of mine. We have been connected now for a year, bouncing ideas back and forth, very just open and honest about what we've been experiencing because we have very similar backgrounds. Well, we have come together because I had this idea for a while, but needed someone to truly help and support me and to cheer me on, but also someone who can bring their expertise and their strengths into this that I don't have. And with that being said, we are officially announcing and launching a live 6-week course. It is all things events, but to find out more about this, we are going to be going live on Instagram for the next 6 weeks. So July 23rd will be the first one where we make the big announcement, as well as kind of what the first week of the course will look like. And we're doing 6 weeks. So every Tuesday evening, we will go live talking about exactly what you're going to be experiencing, which you're going to get to know, what you're going to get to learn in the course. So please join us, add it to your calendar, join the events community that I have. That way you're able to know. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, actually, one thing I do want to mention is with that, if you are listening and watching the lives, we are going to be announcing a giveaway, and you're going to have the chance to win something or something to do with the live course. And I would love for you to be there to know what that is, because if you're an event host, aspiring to be an event host, an entrepreneur, small business owner who has been hosting or wanting to host the events, please check it out, listen in, because it could save you maybe just some money, and maybe a bonus along with it. So, all right, second thing I want to talk about, the event profit planner. So you're not in my events community. I have not released this to the public yet. You get to basically have a one-stop shop for all things event financials, but you may not be a numbers person. You may hate spreadsheets. You know, probably are hosting events or wanting to host an event, but really don't know what money is coming in, what money you need to make, what do you even charge for your attendees, aka the question we're talking about today. So that's what the event profit planner for. It is literally a one-stop shop, has everything in it for you that you are just plugging and playing, and it's so simple. And it's so that you don't have to spend time tracking and creating and really digging into all your numbers. It is there for you. It literally tells you how much you're spending on your expenses, budget, and your actuals. Same thing for your revenue. And then it tells you, are you making money or are you losing money? And you use those numbers to actually come up with the pricing, which is what we're going to talk about next. So if you are interested till July 31st, 2024, that you can get $50 off and a bonus, which I will go ahead and tell you, the bonus is a one-on-one call, 20 minutes with me to be able to answer your questions and set up that sheet to exactly how you need it. So you can feel confident in tracking your financials, knowing where your numbers are coming from, and feel good inside to know you can host this event, because you can do it. You can do it. And I wanted to give you the resources to do it yourself, because you probably can't hire and pay someone right now. Or maybe you do have a planner, but they're not really tracking separately. It's all mixed in with all your other numbers. So that's what this is for. Which leads me to today's question, which is, what is your pricing? What are you charging your attendee to come in? Now, this is so key. Like I mentioned, you need to go back to every other question you answered. So the 4 other questions: what is your why? Who is your ideal attendee? Do you want to be profitable? And what size or type of event do you want to host? Again, coming back to that why. You need to know the answer to all these questions, because if you want to be profitable, that's going to impact how much you charge. If you want to host a 50-person event or potentially 200-person event, 2 totally different numbers, 2 totally different amounts of people. How much time, how much you're going to spend on your food, how much you're going to need to spend on the size of a venue is going to drastically change. And even if you get smaller down to retreats, you want to have all those answers before you figure out your pricing. The other thing you want to do with your pricing is keep it as simple as possible. Do not overcomplicate it. Give like an early bird pricing and then do a normal price. And don't make it any more complicated than that. It doesn't need to be. But the key is you want to make sure that you're covering your expenses. And this is where the event profit planner that I've created is helpful. And if you don't have the event profit planner, I'm going to definitely put it in here until you need to have it for what it is worth. You are going to get so much more out of it and be able to use it over and over and over again in your events. Year over year, be able to compare, contrast, if it's event versus event, if you do multiple events, it's just gonna be so easy to see your numbers and run your numbers. But when it comes to pricing, this is where you are going to be able to take your expenses and plug in what you're expecting to spend. You're gonna be able to plug in the revenue that you're expecting, and you're gonna be able to take and see the profit and loss at the bottom. When you get to that profit you want, and you know, do you want to make a 5% profit, 10, 20, 50, does not matter. I don't care. You decide what you are wanting. You're going to take that expense number and you're going to multiply it by that percentage. So make sure it's like 1.10. So 1.1 is that 10% profit, or multiply by 10%. Then when you get that number, you're going to divide it by the number of attendees you're expecting. Now, those are number of attendees that you're expecting. Please make sure that it's what you know and feel really good that you're going to reach. There's going to be a good goal, and then there's going to be a stretch goal. So you're going for that good goal of what you're dividing it by. And that's going to give you your price that you need to be charging your attendees. It is amazing when you can run numbers, and your first year is a little bit of guessing. You're not fully going to know your budget. You're not going to know what all you're going to get sponsored, potentially in-kind sponsorships. So many different aspects go into it, and this is where you're going to get some clarity. The other piece I want you to think about is knowing your self-worth and your value. What value are you bringing to the table? What time is you putting in ahead of time, during the event, and after? Don't forget about those things. You are worthy and you have value to bring. You are giving and providing so much information and messaging and potentially workshopping and coaching. And I don't know what all you're putting into your event, but that's the value you are bringing. And it's okay to charge your worth. It's okay to charge for your value because there's a lot there. What money are you saving them? How much time are you going to be saving them? Where are the transformations happening? And that's what you have to also consider. And the last thing I just want to mention here is when you are pricing, consider how much they're investing. You want to stretch your attendee just a little bit, because when you stretch them just a little bit, one, they're going to show up to it. They're going to feel like that they spend enough that they have to be in that room. They can't not be in that room unless an emergency happens. They have to be in that room. Because let me tell you, this was in 2019, the statistics from, but there was between 18 and 20% of people who would buy tickets and not show up. Now, virtual events are a little bit different story. You're closer to 40, 50% of people don't show up. For in-person events, you're looking more at the 18 to 20%. It could be a little bit more. It just depends. Now that we're kind of out of we do not want to talk about 2020 COVID timeframe. That is just one thing I want to throw out there and for you to consider. The second thing I want you to think about is how can you create connections ahead of time? You're stretching them in their investment and the money they're spending on the event. But then how are you going to make sure they're going to also show up afterwards? Make the connections, create a group chat, or maybe it's a larger event and you have a lot of people coming for the first time or their first time alone. And I will say, I did this with Powerhouse Women. That is what I did. If you've heard my story many, many times, I showed up to a room by myself, knowing nobody. But Lindsay actually put us into a group chat of all the women who were attending that were by themselves. They were coming alone for their first time. I was so grateful. And I'm seeing it again this year, actually leading up to the event, because I'm recording this in July, the event's in August. Already seeing people, not even Lindsay, but other individuals who are creating these groups and chats so you can get to know one another before you go, especially if it's your first time, especially if you've never been before and you're going alone. But that is what I want you to remember. Utilize your messaging, utilize your marketing, make sure they know they need to be in that room, and stretch them in their pricing. I hope that answers a lot for you. No, it's not cut and dry. No, it's not simple. There are so many things. But if you go back to these core 5 questions, I promise you, promise you that you are going to be able to create that foundation for your event. And as you start finally finding vendors, finding that venue, starting to sell tickets, creating your messaging, creating your marketing, you can come back to this solid foundation that's going to set you up for better success. The second thing I'm going to say is I have that event profit planner. I would love for you to have this. I would love for you to be a part of that. Again, till July 31st, you get $50 off, and you also get that bonus one-on-one 20-minute call with me. I want this in as many hands as possible. If you know someone who hosts events who could benefit from this, please send them that link. I just want to get people access to this, because when you can see your numbers, you can figure out so many more things. You can easily go find a venue and they give you an amount and you plug it in and say, can I actually afford this? It's just so much simpler than doing this all yourself, not tracking, not knowing, questioning everything. That's why I provided these 5 questions. That's why I did this series. I want you to go back if you haven't listened to the other episodes. Listen to them. I promise they're short and sweet. This is the longest one of them all, and that's because I wanted to make sure you guys understand the importance. The pricing is probably one of the most complicated parts, aside from like sponsorships and other things. And then the last thing I want to hit on is, please let me know your takeaways. If you are listening to this, if you are watching this, because I am officially on YouTube, guys, uploading the videos. But if you are listening or watching to this, I want to know what you've taken away, and I want to know what you want to hear, because this is the last one of the series. But I've been toying around with the idea of doing more and continuing on with this event series, because I'm a girl who loves events and I could keep talking about it. And there's so many aspects that I feel like needs to be out there and people need to know. So please share this episode, share it with someone you know, share it on social media, tag me in it, shoot me a DM, shoot me an email. Let me know what your takeaways are and what else you want to learn about events. So I cannot wait. I'm so excited for this live course. I'm so excited for the event profit planner. I'm excited to be here. I'm just thankful for you all. Just so grateful you're listening. And I cannot wait to hear from you guys soon. But enjoy the rest of your day, and we will talk again on Wednesday.